Namaste, viewers. Welcome to Jaipur Dialogue USA, and I am Vibhuti Jha. Thank you for watching. I always request you please like, subscribe, and support our channel every which way possible. Today, I'm going to begin the conversation about the much awaited debate, the presidential debate that happened between existing President Joe Biden and the 45 Mr. Donald Trump. Now, the lot was expected out of this debate. Everybody knows both these gentlemen. Joe Biden is a creature of the swamp ever since 50 years ago or plus. He has entered politics as the youngest senator ever from Delaware to becoming the president of America. So he knows the machinations running of democracy or the deep state in America. On the other hand, we had the opportunity to see a complete outsider, Donald Trump, who came to wreck the swamp. These are the two people. What they have done is obviously clear to both of us. We all know that, what they have done throughout their career. What is important here is to know that this is perhaps one of those rare occasions when an existing president was debating against a person who has had a 4-year term of his own just one term ago. So the contrast with reference to issues and performances were crystal clear. So let's talk about one couple of, you have heard many interpretations of that thanks to technology. As I always say, that technology has brought about a tectonic shift in which we communicate. So soon after the debate was over, the spin room was active, and the world over, people were making commentaries on that. So I will tell you what I always say, the impact and implication of what we saw on the debate stage organized by CNN. Contrary to fears that Jake Tapper and Dana would be not so favorable to Trump, was proven wrong. I compliment both the CNN correspondents, hosts, for being factual and asking the question and not playing the game, but I will come to that a little bit later. Having said that, I find that this particular format in which nobody was allowed to interfere in each one's statement served Trump better than Biden, because Trump always had the habit of injecting that, making him, kind of intrusive and unlikable. Biden used to come up with a quip, a one-line zinger, which he lost the chance, which was his positive. So Trump was saved by this format. Biden got hurt by this format. Now, coming back to the real issue, one of the takes that I had, that before the debate, a lot was being said about the age of both the candidates. Age. What was obvious to me, that age mattered. Age mattered for Biden. He was too old, lifeless, colorless, and lost in transition or translation, as you might say. In case of Trump, age didn't matter. He showed the grip, the presence, and the ability to articulate, including the fact that he said that I have opened myself to cognitive tests and physical tests to ensure that I'm fit enough. On the contrary, Biden has been prevented from taking the tests, cognitive tests. That's very critical. And you and I and the entire world has seen how Biden has been lost on stages, not only American stages, but on the global stages, suddenly walking away. Is called wandering away or meandering away from the main scene. The other part, which I also want to say, personality-wise, Trump seemed to have learned a lot. In the pre-debate thing, I had mentioned that Trump would do well to let Biden talk. And what he must do is that, having been the president, he must appear more presidential, and he did. Two examples are very clear. One was the fact when he said Why are we even having this debate? Like kids. He showed his presence of mind. He also said that he would not have contested the presidency if Joe Biden was doing well, which means he became a presidential demeanor by saying if Biden had been doing well, by he said that if Biden had been doing well and the country was doing well, I won't be coming back for election. I'm coming back because I want to make America great again because Biden has run the country aground. So, on the personality part as well, Mr. Trump seemed and conveyed the impression of being in control of things. Personality wise, he had learned the lessons that the media taught him, that talk only when necessary, talk only when you need to. The other element of personality, which is very critical here, is that Biden just looked flummoxed and lost. He didn't even complete the sentences. The one led to the question, what was this 7 day preparation all about? If the president was preparing for this moment by secluding himself for 7 days in learning, what exactly did he learn? Sorry. The question is probably nothing. The other element, which is very important, just before the debate, I received a letter from one of the heavy hitter donors, Indian guy, Indian donor and a major functionary in the Democratic Party, asking about 200 or 300 people listed in that email to join Mr. Gavin Newsom, the California governor's candidacy or fundraising for him at his home or someplace. I won't disclose that because the Indian community owes Gavin Newsom its gratitude for what you call the SB 403, the caste bill that he vetoed, which was passed virtually unanimously in California state legislature by the Senate and its legislature. He also mentioned in that email that he is the most suitable candidate for the 47th presidency. Forgot that entirely, that Trump and Biden are fighting for 47th presidency, which means as a heavy donor to Democratic Party, the odds of replacing Biden after this debate has risen very high, considering the fact that this letter came even before the debate had happened. I have the documentary evidence of that. This is very critical. This is the first time ever. These are the impact and implications, that issue that I talk about. That this is the first time the debate has been held prior to both the candidates being endorsed and nominated by their parties, which means that at the convention, the party leadership can choose to elect whoever they want. That's very important to know. Odds of Biden being replaced are very high. The meltdown of the Democratic Party functionaries and TV analysts, I mean, their faces are worth seeing. On CNBC, MSNBC, or CNN, they are done. They say, you have read this in Times of India, I can't say it on the thing, which is essentially means we are effed. This is what the basic message from the Democratic Party has been. Now it comes to a very important issue on how did they handle the attacks or distractions on the issues concerned. By the way, I must tell you this. Trump has come up with a great advertisement, and that advertisement is about calling a new sleeping pill called Bidenica. And he has given the performance of Mr. Biden at various debates and various moments which can induce boredom and sleep. So it's something, if you have not seen, just look it up. I would try to. It is also there on the Twitter, so you can look it up. Bidenica. This is what shows the mind. The other part which I wanted to say. This is critical. This election, there were issue of immigration on which Biden flunked, Trump succeeded. Remember one thing. You know, Republican Party at times behaves like BJP in India, and Democratic Party is entirely like Congress Party in India. Very tactically savvy and lie through their teeth. Now, all politicians lie. The reason is very simple because every politician lives in his own world of what we Hindus call Ardha Satya. उनका अपना ही सत्य जो है वो पूर्ण सत्य होता है. Whereas the politician actually lives in his own world of Ardha Satya, or whose half truth is accepted by the voter becomes the full truth. This is what I put it in a very layman scenario. So, immigration was one such matter in which, if you recall the early stages, more than 17, 18 million people have come during Biden term. Many people who were coming there, they were wearing Biden t-shirt, and they openly said, we will vote for Biden. But here is a very important reminder to all of you. In San Diego, for example, which is a Republican conservative area, thousands and thousands of these immigrants have been dumped. Life of the common man has become remarkably nasty. Children as young as 6-year age girls are being raped, and those people are let off on bail. Think about it. People are coming and stealing $900 worth of stuff and going out. The police can't even charge them. This is the reality of America today. It's all done by the Democratic Party. Republican Party, it was Paul Ryan, who was the Speaker of the House, who did not give $5 billion of funds to build the wall. Remember that. So there is a definite element that defies somebody or enables somebody. So Trump was disabled. And as Vivek Ramaswamy said in many of his presentations, that Trump got fooled because as a corporate CEO, he believed his deputies, he had right to fire. But he didn't have to hear them. They took him for a ride. So on many matters, he was taken for a ride. The deep state was taking him for a ride, within and from without. So what is important here is to find out. Many immigrants were coming up to vote here. San Diego County has been dumped with many illegal people who will vote for this. And one of my friends was the poll supervisor in the in the primary elections. And he said, you can't even ask anybody about their citizenship status because it's illegal to ask. Think about it. It is illegal to ask somebody's residential status for voting purposes, but an illegal can go and vote. This is the dilemma of American democracy. That's a challenge which the deep state will not be able to cover up. And my point, which I was trying to drive at, is that with Biden's performance yesterday, it was more than obvious that sometimes you can cover the deficit by doing something. In this particular scenario, it is impossible for the deep state to cover the deficit because people will then know that Trump was right, that the election got rigged, the process got rigged. And the deep state would not want that to happen because they want the process to play out, because that's where their ability to manipulate the system exists rather strongly. A couple of other points which I wanted to say here. That on issues of immigration, inflation, abortion, a very key issue for Republicans. Abortion is the strong point of Democrats, in which they combine a woman's right with abortion rights. Anything. Trump, interestingly enough, and as a Republican always wonder, why are Republicans not able to respond on abortion issue, and every other issue fails by the wayside because Democrats take possession of that issue. Trump was a winner on this issue. Go back and listen to it, because he said the rule belongs to the state. It's a federal structure in America. Why must a federal government take a decision of this kind when the state has to decide, right? And let the people of the state choose the option that they want. And also late-term exceptions. There was an element of common sense brought into abortion debate. And I think that did actually help Trump. The other aspect is also very important, is that Russia-China factor. This is very important. If you remember 2016, Hillary Clinton's opposition research had tried to prove that Russian collusion was the reason why Trump was winning would win. Russia was influencing local elections. But the reality was, we all know now, this is the beauty of this election particularly. Whatever attacks or the labeling was done of Trump in 2016 election and in his term can now be seen in 4 years' time. What happened to that? Hunter Biden. We all know that New York Post story that broke, which proved that Hunter Biden's entire video was true, which was branded as fake, as Russian propaganda, by including the voices of 51 CIA officials who said it was Russian plant. Now we know it is not. Hunter Biden laptop was real. That Biden involvement in the entire business matter was real. And that's what is points out to China collusion. So when 2020 election came about, my theory is that United States, Biden, Hunter, and all the relationship, they wanted Trump gone. The swamp wanted Trump gone because he was the one who was challenging the swamp. So as a result of which, they brought in the COVID thing. Now, when COVID happened, we all know the debate went on, the classic challenge of democracy, because you can't be guilty until proven so. Evidence collection and then proving is very difficult and time consuming. You know it and I know it. So now we know that even the scarf lady, the doctor, Fauci, and others, they have all admitted that this had something to do with the gain of research that happened in Wuhan lab. And United States, Mr. Fauci's department was culpable, if not guilty, culpable of doing things that eventually hurt people. So China collusion derailed the soaring economy of America. That's what derailed Trump's second term in terms of the fact that economic progress could not happen. We know the story about India, how the Western media was talking about India going down the tube until Modi managed the COVID crisis well. So that was another issue which is very important. People now know what vaccines did and what is the impact of vaccinations. And they were all untested. That's what is important. The other element which is very important is the Ukraine-ish saga, the Afghanistan withdrawal. These elements were visible to all of us throughout. US looked inept, unorganized, and totally failed in the Afghan evacuation, and leaving behind $80 billion worth of weaponry, sophisticated weaponry that went into the hand of Taliban, which today Taliban is saying we will send it to Hamas to fight. Think about it. And likewise, in Ukraine. So US gets out of Afghanistan, gets into Ukraine for an untenable war, which people have commented everywhere now that the promises made by the NATO and America were defeated, were not kept. That's what has led to this scenario. And people know it. If I notice it, I'm sure you notice it, and many more notice it. Because if you are telling Israel to not eliminate Hamas and to prevent civilian casualties, we are not telling Hamas not to use civilians as a shield. Likewise, you are telling Israel to have a ceasefire or to cease the war, but you are telling Ukraine, go ahead and fight and win, which Ukraine, in every sensible opinion, Ukraine will never win. That's the important point. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say this one thing. This debate was an eye-opener for one reason, that we saw what is evident. Age matters and age doesn't matter. Both of them came up clear on that. And so far as age is concerned, one knows there are people who could be 50 years of age and lifeless. But Trump showed he proved himself worthy of the role. So in this scenario, in this debate, whatever Biden may say, he lost it very badly. And for him to recover from this, it will be impossible. The odds are that September debate may not happen even until a new candidate is brought in by Democratic Party. How will that happen? there is a big challenge for Democratic Party. One is, if you are going to replace Biden, who are you going to have? The charming, tall, handsome Gavin Newsom of California, who has absolutely ruined that state. I lived in the state and I know what he has done to that state with everything that is anathema to people. People have run away from there. If you remember, that Florida governor told him that your father in law has shifted to Florida. What are you talking about? And you know, a lot of people have left California. So, on performance matter, charm matter, Gavin Newsom is absolutely the fit guy. But the challenge is the vice president, Kamala Harris, and a woman, a black woman, and an immigrant woman. Think about it. All three factors are favoring Kamala Harris, but Kamala Harris has been very inept and remarkably unsuccessful as the vice president of America. Perhaps somebody who just didn't know her job. She was appointed border czar, never went to border. One time she went. And when she was asked this question, then she related it that I haven't gone to Europe either. This is the ridiculousness of her role in the Biden administration. So, if the DNC, Democrat Party chooses Gavin Newsom, the attack will come from minorities and blacks. The first time you had a chance to put a black woman in the White House and you backed out. Big challenge. By herself, Kamala Harris is unwinnable. So at the moment, Democratic Party has is sitting on a time bomb of its own creation. As I always say, please like, subscribe, and support our channel. We respect your feedback. Thank you very much. Truth must triumph, and it must. Because for truth to triumph, you and I will have to stand up and tell the truth. Thank you.